The rain came down hard that night, painting the highways in silver streaks as the lone biker tore through the storm. The rumble of his engine was the only sound that matched the noise in his heart. 5 years. 5 long, restless years since he had last seen home, since he had walked away from everything and everyone who loved him. His name was Ryan Cole, a man once full of dreams, now a shadow chasing broken memories on 2 wheels. He had left with fire in his eyes and anger in his soul, swearing never to return. But fate has a cruel way of calling us back to where it all began. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to KindHeartsHub. Let's spread stories that remind us that love always finds a way home. The road twisted like life itself, unforgiving, endless, uncertain. Ryan's leather jacket was soaked through, and his hands trembled on the handlebars. He had no plan, no destination, just a quiet ache in his chest that had been growing louder each day. He wasn't running anymore. He was returning, not for glory, not for redemption, just to see if the woman who had once called him her little boy could still look at him without pain in her eyes. 5 years ago, Ryan had been a different man. He was wild, angry, and lost. After his father's sudden death, he had blamed everyone. His mother, his small hometown, and even God, for the life that seemed to crumble beneath him. He had packed his bags, sold his car, and bought a second-hand motorcycle, vowing never to look back. He chased freedom across states, working in bars, sleeping under bridges, and drowning in regret. But no matter how far he rode, her voice always followed. The gentle voice of his mother, whispering prayers into the night, hoping her boy would come home. As he crossed into the outskirts of his hometown, the world felt smaller, quieter. The streets hadn't changed much. The same gas station at the corner, the same row of faded shops, the same little diner by the highway glowing under a flickering neon sign. Sally's Diner. He remembered it well. It was the place where his mother used to take him after church on Sundays. Pancakes and laughter, the smell of fresh coffee, and the warmth of her hand holding his. That memory was the kind of thing that could break a man after years of running. He parked his bike outside, the rain now nothing more than a drizzle. The diner was almost empty, except for a couple of truck drivers sipping coffee in silence. The air inside was thick with the smell of fried eggs and nostalgia. Ryan stood at the door for a moment, unsure if he should even step inside. He didn't belong here anymore. He was a ghost haunting his own past. But then he saw her, in the far corner, bent over a table with a war out rag in her hand, was his mother. Her once golden hair was streaked with grey now, her shoulders thinner, her movements slower. She wasn't a customer, she was cleaning tables, working. Ryan's throat tightened as the truth sank in. His mother, the woman who used to make him hot chocolate on cold nights and tuck him in with bedtime prayers, was now wiping tables in a diner, tired and alone. He stood frozen, watching her move from one table to another, humming softly to herself. Each line on her face told a story, of struggle, of sacrifice, of unconditional love. He had left her alone to face everything he couldn't. Shame hit him like a punch to the chest. The son who had promised to make her proud had become the reason for her quiet suffering. Ryan walked to the counter, his boots echoing softly on the tiled floor. The waitress looked up and smiled politely, unaware that every heartbeat was a battle inside him. He sat there for a long moment, staring at his reflection in the coffee machine. Tired eyes, unshaven face, and the guilt that no amount of miles could erase. He ordered black coffee, but his hands were shaking too hard to drink it. All he could do was glance at his mother, every movement of hers like a scene from a life he wished he could rewrite. When the diner finally began to empty, she noticed him. Their eyes met across the room. For a heartbeat, time stopped. She froze, the rag slipping from her hand, her lips parting in disbelief. Her son, the boy she had prayed for every night, was sitting there, soaked from the rain, looking older, worn, and broken. He stood up, his voice catching as he whispered, "Hi, Mom." She didn't move at first. Then, slowly, her trembling hands rose to her mouth as tears filled her eyes. "Ryan," she breathed, as if afraid it wasn't real. He nodded, and that was all it took. She rushed forward, wrapping her arms around him, crying into his chest. The years melted away in that single embrace. Every angry word, every mistake, every sleepless night. It all disappeared in the warmth of a mother's forgiveness. He held her tight, whispering apologies she had already forgiven long ago. The diner staff watched quietly, some smiling, others holding back tears. There was something sacred about that reunion, a love that had survived distance, pain, and time itself. Over the next few hours, they sat together at one of the corner booths, just like they used to. His mother told him how hard things had been after he left. She had taken the job at the diner to make ends meet, to keep the house from falling apart. But she never stopped hoping. Every day, she looked out the window, wondering if her son might walk through the door. Some nights, she'd leave the porch light on, just in case. Ryan listened silently, tears running down his face. He realized how blind he had been chasing the world when the only thing that truly mattered was right here. He reached across the table and took her hand. "I'm home now," he said softly, "and I'm not leaving again." From that day on, Ryan stayed. He sold his bike and found work at a local garage. It wasn't much, but it was honest, and it was enough to help his mother live without worry. Every morning, he'd walk her to the diner, just to make sure she didn't have to wipe another table alone. The people who once whispered about him, the boy who ran away, now saw something different. They saw a man who had found his way back, guided by the light of a mother's love. The seasons changed, but that diner remained the heart of their story. Every customer who came in could see it. The way Ryan would bring flowers for his mother, the way she'd smile with pride every time she introduced him. Forgiveness had given them both a second chance at life, a second chance at love. And on quiet evenings when the sun dipped behind the hills, Ryan would sometimes sit outside, watching the fading light. The hum of passing cars reminded him of the road that once led him away, and now had brought him home. He had learned something no adventure or open highway could teach, that sometimes the bravest thing a person can do isn't to keep riding, it's to turn back, to face what was left behind, to mend what was broken, and to be there for the ones who never stopped waiting. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to KindHeartsHub. Every click helps us tell more stories that remind the world that love, forgiveness, and family are worth coming home to. Special request, before you go, drop a comment below. Tell us if you believe that no matter how far someone strays, love can always bring them home.